And we are ready, is essentially what I'm trying to say. We're ready. Welcome. Nice. Look at that, man. Already at 80 plus right now. Remember, man, our only entry fee that we ask of you guys is just here's a thumbs up. And here we go. Let's get it. OM Jizzle. NOIR decides they are just going to take it to VvV, going to go right down the throat right now, and they are at it. We got Entangling Fangs mocking that Shadowfly coming out there. How is NOIR going to play this? Are they going to push through and we're just going to do the mosh pit play? Are we going to end up pushing through? Are we going to banana peel off left and right? Are they just going to try and... I mean, again, this is... Okay, was this maybe VvV's play? Is they don't want them? Maybe they opted to hang out because they didn't want NOIR to have an easy time breaking through. Look at that massive, just negative purple artifact damage that is just going down what looks to be so much right now, so much damage. Oh my gosh, look at the delayed for the artifact plays right now being just jammed out on NOIR. This is absolutely nuts, and I'm going to tell you right now, I am here for it. Tell your friends, tell your wife, tell your kid, tell your cousins, tell them if you have nieces twice removed, they should be watching this. I mean, this is just absolutely bananas. Oh my gosh, so much VvV dead that's happening right now. Some of the NOIR, oh gosh, I'm almost afraid. Oh, there's some people going out there. Oh, hey, that's Satoru. What's up, baby? Okay, I think I just saw Nephisto. That was coming in over there, probably coming over to the front line now. Another Shadow Flight. We got a Shadow Gaze. Oh my gosh, did you guys see that? Negative 44k damage, what looks to be off of that Shadow Games that was procced. We have some Tear of Arbins going down right now for some Divine Mercies, getting some heals. I don't know how I necessarily maybe feel about that being procced on the ramp. Slight lag that we're seeing too as well, but I think the most important thing is that we haven't actually lagged out, right? Keep in mind, and maybe they fixed it a bit, because I think people were telling me before that games were crashing when they were seeing PvP that was going on a little bit before. I don't know if it was because of the Tohar, etc., that was being done, but I know people were saying. Thankfully, we haven't lagged out yet, so I'm going to take that as a big W. Time Bomb getting thrown down. Okay, now VvV is thinning out a little bit more. This to me seems like an opportunity now for NOIR to push down the ramp, maybe get outside to one of the perimeters, find some open space, and again, maybe not just sit there the entire time on the ramp, right? That's one of the main things that we often talk about when we're watching big PvP warfare, is you don't want to sit in the kill box. Don't sit there on the choke point. Push out. If you're going to push out and go in one direction, and maybe they're going to circle around, like they could push out, go south, southwest, and then kind of curve, like banana peel out and then kind of come across if they want to, so they can kind of open this up a little bit. Or they can kind of come out straight and then maybe back and do something like that. Again, I think there's just a couple options here overall that they could play, right? Because again, most of them are fighting here. Let's go with pink, right? So they could come down, go here, maybe branch here, and then they're just kind of resetting their lines, right? And then they're going to push here and maybe go push over here, right down the mountains. Again, we have options that they can play out with, because they have good activity right now. Okay, so there we go, right? Breaking through a little bit there. Need to clean up some of this mid and some of these units over here to the southwest. Even bringing in some flying. Man, this is, I mean, there's a lot here, man. NOIR is coming out with a vengeance. Okay, now remember, if you are getting pushed like this, in this case, usually you need to make a heads-up play where you are deciding if you're VvV, right? You don't just want to keep trickling in one by one. Remember, the smart play here is to call and start defending, reset up your next staging area line, right? That should already be a play in VvV's hand. So if you notice that you're losing this ravine, right? Then what you end up doing is you would fall back and you would say, okay, we're now going to already start setting up here, maybe somewhere between the choke and maybe the flag, or you're going to start setting up in front of the flag, right? So you need to start already, and again, these are the kinds of things that should already be planned out. You should already know where you're going to be falling back to, where's your next defensive position, and then what is your next plan of attack, right? Because the thing is remember, they're having units that are leaving. Yes, do they have a faster respawn or replenishment time than NOIR does? Yes, because NOIR is fighting closer to VvV's level 1 pass. However, you also need to consider that you don't just want to trickle these units in one by one, right? You want to make sure that you're meeting numbers with numbers. Remember, NOIR has the farther walk. Your advantage is that you don't want to play into their hand. This is kind of a little bit of playing into NOIR where you don't have as many numbers as they do. right? You're kind of trickling down, and then you're having the units kind of come in, at least a few, right? Maybe not too many. But this is what I'm talking about, right? Where you're having like these units here that are kind of coming in one by one, right? The play really at this point, I think, is you set up a new staging area, and it should be right here in front of your flag. That's really where everyone should be going. So that should have been like the heads up call is, hey, if we're losing people, the next staging area is going to be here. And if we feel like we've lost a decent amount, then we just let the remainder fall back over to that staging area, and then you re-engage at that point. That is the overall better play. If you cannot keep up, if you're not going toe-to-toe and you don't feel like it's 1-to-1 ratio trades, then you do that because you're going to end up getting better overall trades from meeting them with closer numbers, if not more, right? Because remember, like I said, they have the farther walk. They also have longer replenishment times. It's in their advantage to push you and to pick you off one by one after the big fight is done. And again, I think NOIR is doing the right play here. This is exactly what needs to be happened, right? You have NOIR that's pushing. Sure, could they have pushed a little bit earlier when they saw VvV pushing back so they could pick off some of those stragglers? Of course. Was it kind of nice that they waited a little bit? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give you 2+ points because of just pure chivalry, and I appreciate I appreciate the not the candor. What's the not the cotillion thing that I'm looking for? I appreciate your etiquette. Yes, your on-field etiquette, I'll say. But again, at this point, like I said, NOIR is playing this out right. You don't just sit there and wait. Once you get room once you've established some positioning, you filled into space at the opposite side of the choke point where your opponents are setting up, then you immediately start pushing them, right? Again, hopefully NOIR is looking ahead. But again, I think at this point, this is pretty solid, right? I mean, it doesn't look like VvV is trying to establish and set up a line, but this is what you do, right? You should usually have one person, if you're the attacker and you're looking ahead, you should be scouting and paying attention. What are they doing? Does it look a little bit discombobulated? Does it look like they're structured and they're organized? Are they actually trying to set up a new line at somewhere? Do they have a second staging area that they're trying to organize themselves in? No. Okay. In the worst case, you keep pushing. Keep the throttle on, because right now it doesn't look like they're really doing that. It almost looks a little bit more discombobulated, right? So this is where you push, attack the PvP units, you get close to the builders, you tear the builders' faces off, and then you just keep pushing. Right now, if it looks like your group is lower in numbers, and it looks like VvV at some point is pushing, or not pushing, but if they're reorganizing themselves and they're having a decent amount of numbers, right, then okay. Then maybe you call it and you say, look, let's pause for a minute, let's go ahead and reassess, and then we can re-engage at that point. Sorry, I got like 100 people just hanging out. Yo, my lady doesn't care, fam. Listen, one of these days, your boy is going to be popping. And the day that happens, I told you guys, I'm going to have my lady come on, and she's just going to sit right next to me, and you guys can like Q&A her. What I'm telling you, man, it's going to be the most hilarious but the funniest thing ever. Because I'm telling you, if you guys met us in real life, you'd be like, dude, polar opposites. Anyways, let's get back to the action so we don't end up losing our fantastic rhythm. Let's see how NOIR's doing. Are they still replenishing their lines? Because they should be. Come on, Uki. Keep moving, man. Ooh, look at that. Drunk. Okay, Fev isn't doing a bad job. I actually kind of like this, where he's trying to pick off some of the supply lines. That's actually a really good play. Hopefully NOIR is keeping pushing. Dude, really? Come on, Empress. Come on, Shays. I'm going to call you out. Navies? Come on, broski. RZA, what are you doing? Dr. Kill? More like Dr. Phil. Okay? As in filling this empty space with your body. Let's keep it pushing, Pippin. Oh my gosh. I mean, NOIR is on a wrecking ball. Okay, now I think we need to start looking at the situation. I mean, they're really condensed. I would really like to see them spread out a little bit more. You guys already know me on the whole, like, wrecking ball, right? Let's not just dive into the whole Miley Cyrus play where we're just playing this condensed hive game. Again, spread out a little bit. Actually form a line, because again, you're trying to reduce the amount of AoE damage that's being inflicted on you, and then you need to be distributing more AoE damage. So VvV is now, I mean, they are getting some replenishment. You can almost feel, it almost feels like some shape is being taken here from VvV as they're pushing out. And I think this is the right call from NOIR, right? It's let's set up a line, let's attack, let's do some focus firing. Hopefully while they're doing this, they're going to end up getting some replenishment. This still is not a bad position for NOIR, right? I think they're still doing okay. It looks like they were able to push the people off of the flags, so they were able to at least get some builder kills. That's not bad. And this is where you need someone communicating. So now VvV looks like they're going to... Wow, okay, so they have a lot more people that are pushing out now. Okay, so I think at this point, now NOIR needs to start looking and making this call, right? Because I think this is actually an okay position or a time where you would say, let's start pushing back now, right? Let's fall back, reset up a staging area, because these numbers are okay if they're fighting, but they need to be looking that they have a lot more people that are coming out, right? I think, again, if I was calling this, I would say you need to start pushing back, start setting up on your second staging area, and then re-engage. You want to go and set back up at the top of the ramp? That's okay, right? Fall back to the top of the ramp, because you still have a decent amount here. Now, maybe NOIR is taking the stance where they just don't care, right? Maybe it's, okay, hey, look, we're just going to fight. We don't care if the units die. We're going to get as much PvP, and guess what? We're going to bring a second force to come out and play as well, right? If that's what they're aiming for, and it's not really about like long-term sustainability, where they're really looking for the, you're going for this, Deadpool maximum effort play, where you're trying to get the best return on your investment for what you're putting out there, and you're always trying to kind of get, I used to watch a lot of Hearthstone. I remember one of the guys there, Trump, one of his big things was like, he's like the mayor of Value Town, right? And I think that's really important when you think about how much value are you trying to get? How are you assessing value when you're making a push? How long are you staying out there, especially when you're more of the advanced force? So, yeah, I think in this situation, I think NOIR has kind of stayed long enough at this point. I think the play right now is don't trickle the units in one by one, but I would say now NOIR needs to potentially push back. And I would say setting up a staging area at the top of the ramp is actually not a bad play. Again, it doesn't really look like we're seeing that, and it's more of like, hey, look, we're just going to keep fighting. And again, VvV is getting good replenishment, man. I mean, that's what you would expect to see if you're fighting on your opponent's gate. I don't think this is bad, right? And now, hopefully, VvV may consider making a push. In situations like this, and I want to point something out, this to me is really where I think Cav can shine, where you end up having Cav running around and attacking the people at like the midline, right? Kind of like we saw that one guy from Fev was doing, or sorry, that Fev guy from VvV, right, where you had two Cav units it looked like. This is where you really allow for Cav to breathe, right? Let them soak up the air and just like let the wind in their sails. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need Titanic up in here, okay? But still, right? I'm talking more like Jet Li fearless. You know what I mean? Just letting the wind just go right through, just right through the pits. But yeah. That actually would be really cool to see, right? I think that's more of the play here. But again, VvV should be pushing. This isn't something where they should be playing stagnant. Again, they have decent numbers. They're getting good replenishment. I would keep advancing. And again, this is where the counter push comes in now, right? Ooh, what's happening here? Interesting. It's a nice blue light. Oh, that's artifact usage. Okay. All right. I forget what the name of that artifact is, but I know it's artifact. They're like, yeah, boss, because you can't recall your troops. Duh, what else is it? Yeah, so hopefully VvV will keep pushing. Again, keep that pressure on. Let me see what's going on up here. Okay. Hector El Grande's making his way out. So unfortunate. Yeah, but this is good. I wonder if NOIR is going to try and set up. I'm curious. While they're pushing, what are they doing? I mean, they got a few people. That's not enough, though, man. That's not enough by a long shot. Yo, just look at all that dead. It's just like, shh, the dead. That's a long line of dead, man. It doesn't look like they're replenishing this too much, though. Unless the walk is just so far that I haven't seen. There's a few there. I don't really see a lot of replenishment. Do you guys? I see a long line of dead, but I do not see like a wild line of replenishment here. Okay. Let's go back. Where is it? I think it's like right here, right? Yeah.